Welcome back to Live for Love TV. Today's the second day of the first month of the 23rd year inside the 21st century. Hope everyone's doing extremely well out there. Today, in about 5 days' time, it'll be Ethiopian Christmas. And so coming up to that, I'm going to do something. I'm going to actually recite something that Emperor Haile Selassie said that I found very profound when I first read it. It's a very short quote, but it's how I've lived most of my life since ever reading that statement, and I'm still working towards it, and I'm still trying to do it. Now, he's made so many quotes, so many speeches, so many things. As you know, the late Bob Marley did a song called War off his 1967 speech, and very, very profound, but that was a whole speech to the League of Nations. But there was an actual one-liner quote that I read in one of his books, one of his many speeches that he had made that was put down in text many years ago. And when I first heard it, it hit me like a ton of bricks. I don't know why, it hit me like a ton of bricks. And it's one of those things that's grown and grown every time I recite it to myself. And I can't believe that it doesn't get it. It's like one of those things, those quotes that keeps growing and growing and growing the more you understand it. So the quote was this. He said, "Where there is no responsibility, there is no God." So you see, I literally spoke it like a bit for bit like a Dalek. So where there is no responsibility, there is no God. And everybody, can hear that, and I don't know if it means anything to you just hearing it the first time or if you've heard it before. But to me, it was massive when I first heard it, because I recognized it in my own life. I recognized maybe the lack of responsibility I was taking for certain things, and yet still talking about the Most High and God and Jah and all these things. And I looked around and thought, how comes many of the people I grew up were in the position that we were, yet we were talking about God all the time? And this quote cut right across everything that I'd believed up to that point. And I'll give you an example, just a quick example of what I meant. If I decided tomorrow to say, listen, I'm talking to you, and we've got something we've got to do, and I'm saying I want you to come to my house 9 a.m. because we've got X, Y, or Z to do. And you turn up at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, or whatever time you turn up late. And then I say, well, what happened, man? I said, we had a deal for 9 o'clock. And you tell me, well, the car broke down. There was some problem on the road. Somebody at your house happened, and this happened, and that happened. I'm not saying things can't happen, but that's a classic example of not taking responsibility for you being late. When you're telling me about some third party or some incident, then that's not taking responsibility. It sounds simple, but that's exactly what it is. So when I hear that, I hear Emperor Haile Selassie saying, when a person says that to me, I instantly saying, where there is no responsibility, there is no God. So I had a contract with you to meet at 9 o'clock. I didn't have a contract with the person who broke down in front of you. I didn't have a contract with the bad road that you went down. I didn't have a contract with whatever happened in your house with your family or whatsoever. I had a contract with you for 9 a.m. and you didn't turn up. And now you're telling me about something else. That's a classic example. Simple, but this goes right across the board in everything we do in our lives. Right now, many of us, like I tell you in Live for Love TV, are not where we want to be in life. And the reason is racism, prejudice, falling out with your woman falling out with their men, arguments amongst your families, bad jobs, your boss didn't do it. All of these are external factors. And if you are not where you want to be right now, that's because you haven't understood what Emperor Haile Selassie was talking about. Once you recognize that you are taking total responsibility for your life, regardless of what any other person or any other system or Babylon or whatever anything wants to do, once you realize you're taking responsibility, then you are where you're supposed to be right now, and you're in power. Because you're empowered. When you're exactly where you're supposed to be, you're totally empowered. That's what responsibility means. And that's what the Emperor was talking about. And I don't come across many people that even consider this. Everywhere I go and every time I try to talk to people about certain issues, all I hear is excuse after excuse after excuse. Africa, the current situation of Africa, we know there are external forces that try to destroy Africa on a daily basis. But if they can destroy Africa after a daily basis, because Africans are not taking responsibility. We know there are people trying to destroy you watching this video right now and trying to undermine you, bad-mindedness. But if they can destroy you, it's because you're not taking responsibility. Because he's saying where there is no responsibility, there is no God. There is no power more powerful than God. So you can't use racism to say it's more powerful than God, therefore I can't get to where I want to get to. Racism is stopping me. Or the forces outside of me or outside of my country or outside of my culture are stopping us from reaching where we want to reach. That means there's no God. That's what he's saying. There's no God then. If racism can stop you, then there's no God. If another man can stop you from reaching to your destination or to a place you want to, then there is no God in your life. Simple. A very simple explanation, a quote that he made that, as I said, you can use it in every situation. It's when you take that responsibility, there will be people trying to undermine you. In fact, there'll be even more people trying to undermine you than they would have before, because they don't want you to be able to have that power. They don't want you to be responsible. It could be your own mother, your own father, your own sisters, your brothers. It could be anybody trying to undermine you from what you're trying to do. But where there's a God, there's no way they can do that. They can do it, it would not be successful. You have the power, you have the responsibility. So they can't. It can't be done. It can't be done. And this is why I said that you have to take these words seriously. I don't want to hear nobody tell me about Babylon this and Babylon that. And I grew up under that foolishness. That's just an excuse for not reaching and the power of God. As Emperor Haile Selassie. Emperor Haile doesn't talk about external forces. He talks, even in the speech in 1967 that Bob Marley made into a thing, he talks about those powers and trying to undermine Africans and African people. But he said good will conquer evil. Power of God will always come over that. He said even in the 20th century at the time that David will still conquer Goliath. Constantly the concept that the power is with us. The power is not with anybody else. And when you make excuses for why your life or why you don't reach to where you want or why you ain't got the money in your pocket because of whoever or whatever, then you're making excuses because you haven't yet understood the power of the God that you talk about. So that's enough for today, but take care. Happy New Year to everyone. Ethiopian Christmas is coming up, like I said, in about 5 days' time. Take care for those who celebrate that. And one love again, and blessed. Live for Love TV.
This is Live for Love TV. Live for Love TV. Yes, I am.
One step more. One step more. One step more. Until you reach your goals. One step more. Save them soul. One step more. One step more. How good it is to reach the
Live for Love TV. This is Live for Love TV.